YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I'm going to be playing a battle against the Beastmen. Now, when this battle is being played, there's a lot of hidden units here. You can see because of the little eyeball symbol there, the Beastmen can Vanguard deploy a lot of stuff. I was playing up against the machine, and I'd been playing a lot of Gyrocopter spam. And as soon as I saw what he was doing here, I wished that I would have brought Gyrocopter spam. Because he's got, well, I mean, I say it still would have been difficult, but it would have been easier. He's got 6 Ungor Raiders. So basically, my opponent here has hard countered, like he's basically thought about everything the Dwarfs suck at, which I brought up recently this week, and he picked an army that perfectly counters everything that the Dwarfs suck at. So they have no mobility, which means they can't catch skirmishers. So he brings a ton of skirmishers. The second thing he knows is, again, they have no mobility other than gyrocopters, and so he brings a Cygor, and he also brought Malagor the Dark Omen and another Brave Shaman of the Wild because he's going to spawn 2 more Cygors. Because he knows the Dwarfs can't catch the Cygors with anything but the gyrocopters, but when you have 6 Ungor Raiders around, he can protect his Cygors. So again, he's perfectly countered what the Dwarfs... Like, basically, he sat there, I don't know if he really sat there and did this, but I'm assuming. You can sit there and think about everything the Dwarfs suck at, and he picks an army basically geared for that. So rather than going toe-to-toe with their infantry, which would be the weak spot of the Beastmen versus the Dwarfs, he brings crap infantry, Vanguard deploys it, knowing that I'm going to have to do something about all these skirmishers. I have 2 Quarrelers, which is pretty standard for the Dwarfs, but they're no match for 6 Ungor Raiders. And I'm going to have to do something because Thorgrim can't hide in the woods. So I either sit there and let Thorgrim get his face pounded by 3 Cygors, or I'm going to have to push forward. I've lost this battle. It's over. That's all there is to it. I'm going to do my best to do some fighting here, but I kind of just want to show you all this. I get to play this guy one more time, and he picks another interesting army. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's fast forward and watch what happens. I'm getting hammered by the Cygors. You can see the unit health on my guys dropping extremely rapid. I'm trying to push. I know he has infantry. They finally come out of the woods, so I'm like, yep, as expected, he's got infantry on my flanks. I've got no way to defend myself. I can't turn around and fight his infantry, and this is going to be rough. There's a few picks that I made that are really stupid here, too, and I don't know what I was thinking, and I wanted to point it out to try and help people out. I've got a bunch of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons as a front line. This was an idiotic pick. The Beastmen typically don't field a lot of armies that have high armor. I would have been better off bringing units with shields, so this made me even more vulnerable to the Ungor Raiders. So picking the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons was an idiotic mistake. Shouldn't have done it. Hammerers are the same thing. They're really good. They're good against even large units, and that's kind of why I brought them, but they don't have a shield, and they're anti-armor. So again, the pick against the Beastmen here was foolish. Rather than picking infantry with great weapons, I should have just brought more skirmishers and more cheap infantry with shields and decent armor, and I would have been in better shape. The best way to get rid of all the Cygors would have been to save money on my infantry from the Hammerers and the Warriors with great weapons, all the other stuff, and just have brought... just bring more gyrocopters or a cannon. A cannon would have been great against the Cygors, but this map was pretty rough terrain, and so I had decided against artillery. The Cygor is a little bit more mobile artillery, and you can see he's going to do a lot of damage to me here with his Ungor Raiders. Now, all he's got here is Ungor Herd for infantry. I went ahead and bombed these guys a little bit with my gyrocopters. That was also a mistake. Wait till infantry is engaged before you bomb them. Yes, I did a lot of damage, but it's way more effective when they're engaged and blobbed up even more, and typically you can cause a chain route with the bomb. So again, wanted to point out my mistake there so that if you're going to be playing as the Dwarfs, hopefully you can learn from my idiotic mistakes here. I was using my gyrocopters to try and keep the Ungor Raiders busy, but like I said, the writing's on the wall in this battle. I'm completely surrounded. The Beastmen are about to beast their way and spread my dwarf entrails all over the ground here. It's going to be pretty rough. I'm going to fast forward for a minute because the main engagement's about to happen. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and charge into his Ungor Herd. If my guys had not been so Cygor pounded, they would have easily beaten his infantry here, regardless of the fact that they're meant to be anti-armor. Maybe not the miners, but some of my infantry would have easily done well. The Hammerers will still do well. It's just they've been picked apart by the Cygors so much that they're going to be severely weakened, but they will still get a lot of kills. That unit will. I have one other unit of Hammerers that just pretty much got Cygored to death. I've got my Runesmith, but I mean, it's too late. My gyrocopters are flailing around looking for appropriate targets, and it's not going well. So I mean, I'm just in rough shape. So again, my opponent here thought way better about his army. Just think about it. Line up the mistakes and think through it real quick here. I knew that the Beastmen usually lack armor, so my focus should have been on cheaper infantry and more skirmishers, and it would have left me in a slightly better place than what I'm at. The gyrocopters are fine to pick. Again, Thorgrim Grudgebearer was a questionable pick versus the Beastmen. Probably would have been better to go with someone like Ungrim, who's a little bit harder to kill. The skirmishers help you kill stuff like Gorbel, and the hammerers are just too expensive for what I need them to do here. They'll do extremely well in melee against the crappy Beastmen infantry, but they're overkill, and they're vulnerable to missiles, so again, a bad choice. For my opponent, on the other hand, the units he chose, even his Brave Shaman, he put him on a chariot, knowing that he could use it to help support fights later, just kind of ramming people with chariots. And you can see he's getting a pretty fair number of kills here with the chariot. So again, well done to him. Let's see, over here, Thorgrim is causing a lot of damage. I mean, he's beating the crap out of these Beastmen unit, which is not unexpected. I have no real good way to kill Gorbel, because my Quarrelers are getting killed. I'm firing, you know, as quick as I can into him, but Gorbel is he's not gonna drop super quick. So my Quarrelers were trying to get the job done. He kind of got hit by a rock from his own Cygor there, but he's gonna use the Potion of Toughness here, and anything I had done to Gorbel is gonna get erased by the potion. So Gorbel the second, taking his replenishment serum here. He's going to replenish all of his stuff, and then Cygors continue to hammer me, and as they gain experience chevrons, they're just going to get more and more accurate. Notice how he's kind of split these guys up all over the battlefield. 80 kills, 97 kills, 142 kills. I had no answer to the Cygors. It was a great pick by the Beastmen. Cygors are typically quite expensive, and they can be a dangerous pick. Again, if I would have had cannons, may have been a little easier, but these guys are still a little more mobile, and they could have used this terrain to their advantage to try and stay away from the cannons while still getting shots. They have almost the same range as the cannon, not quite. Let's check this out here. Malagor the Dark Omen fighting Thorgrim. It's not going to go well for him. He's going to end up taking off and running away. Thorgrim's done a good job here, but he's still just the wrong pick. You can see I killed pretty much all of the Beastmen infantry, even after having gotten flogged, which just speaks more to the point of I should have had guys with shields, and then the fire from these Ungor Raiders would have been less effective. So if I would have had the shields, may have been able to ride some of that out better. Riding out the Cygors, on the other hand, would have been just as unpleasant. And when they run out of ammo, they can go ahead and come into melee too. And they're going to be decent. They're not going to be great. You can see they don't have unlimited ammo, but they've got enough to do a lot of damage. Definitely would have felt better, like I said here, if I would have brought more guys with shields. We're trying to get rid of Gorbel, but it's not going to happen. The Runesmith buffs help. Again, you can see Thorgrim does a lot of damage. He's not going to do great against Gorbel. He'll do good against these blobs of infantry, but he's not going to do great against something like Gorbel. The Hammerers over here racked up 179 kills on cheap infantry, which again is expected. That's even after their damage, and they've managed to almost kill this Brave Shaman of the Wild. So Hammerers, deadly unit, but again overkill here. I think the Cygor killed his own Brave Shaman there. Thank you, Cygor. Gorbel's about to drop, but it's not to be. He's not going to. Cygor gets one last smash in there, so yeah, definitely a great counter pick by the machine. And there was one more battle that I got to play against the machine, and after he counter-picked me real hard like that, I decided to go with a much more unorthodox build. He picked the Empire, and I decided to go pretty heavy on the Gyro-spam and to minimize my infantry, and I'm lucky I did, because once again he's going counter everything that the Dwarfs do. So he's got a Flying Lord, because the Dwarfs struggle with Flying Lords, and this guy's got two healing potions. Probably only need one healing potion in today's Total War. So the 2 healing potions, but still. He's got 4 great swords because these guys are anti-armor and just better than Dwarf infantry in general. He's brought 4 mortars because they're anti-infantry, and he knows again that the Dwarfs don't have any mobility. He's got 6 handgunners because they're good against armor, and again, the Dwarfs have no mobility. The Dwarfs do have better skirmishing, but if I brought 6 Quarrelers and all this other stuff and I start moving in, he, number one, has the flying monster I'd have to be aware of, and two, he can hammer away at my quarrelers with the mortars from long range. And if I brought artillery, which probably wouldn't have hurt, because the mortars wouldn't have been great against the artillery, I could have tried to pick them off from long range. This would have forced my opponent to move, so honestly, a couple of cannons here probably would have been a solid pick. I had no idea he was going to pick something this strange, so to my credit, you know, it wasn't exactly easy to guess. So I'm going to be spreading out my gyrocopters all over the place, trying to take up positions where I can go into melee with his handgunners, and hopefully his great swords and his general of the empire won't be around to do anything about it. So I got 2 gyros supporting my armies, and I've got the rest of my gyros, you can see now, surrounding the empire. This is going to be a very tough fight, because he's picked a very tough counter to the dwarves. Again, I can't do anything. I'm going to send my infantry charging in. I might as well. I'm going to go try and kill his mortars before they can expend all their ammunition. You can see I'm already heavily damaged over here. The mortars are doing extremely well. Got 7 kills on that one, 3 there, 10 kills on this mortar already, 6 there. So I'm losing dwarfs very quickly. So I'm going to start trying to look for singled out handgunners and trying to attack them. I'm going to fast forward, just kind of show you how this battle plays out. I have to charge headlong in. I'm going to take extreme damage doing it. My quarrelers are going to start picking at some of his handgunners. The great swords are going to absolutely make mincemeat of my infantry. There's not much I can do about that. The biggest thing that I can hope to do is to take his handgunners off the field, and then try and use my gyrocopters to bomb out his great swords and win the battle. So it's going to be a very tight fight. Like I said, he counterpicked me real hard with the Beastmen. I tried to counterpick as best I could here, but his awkward pick is going to make this difficult for me regardless. We got some of the handgunners off the field here. I'm getting more here, getting more here. The great swords, though, wrapping up my infantry. This is going to leave my lord pretty vulnerable. Honestly, I mean, he is around here trying to protect, but I probably should have just taken off with Ungrim Iron Fist and ran back to the back of the map to keep him alive, because there's no need to put him at this kind of risk, in my opinion. I sent my miners in on suicide missions against some of the mortars, trying to catch them, because like I said, I need to get the mortars to quit firing. They're killing my quarrelers, and they're doing it quite rapidly. So I'm not going to have any long range to try and go after his handgunners, which that's unfortunate. But in melee, my gyrocopters are cleaning up a ton of his handgunners, and I have enough left over to pester his general of the empire. And he's already used his potion of toughness, so this is a struggle. So even though the gyrocopters can do a lot of damage, they struggle. Now, look at this too. All my gyrocopters are in skirmish. And as if the dwarfs need any other kind of struggles, the gyrocopters will sometimes skirmish, but then most of the time they just won't. They'll just let enemies charge right into them, and it gets really frustrating. So it's really, you have to be very, very on top of your game to micromanage the gyrocopters. So again, we've killed a ton of handgunners. Great for me, but again, there's still a lot of great swords. So let's fast forward and kind of see what happens. General of the Empire is going to keep chasing, and look, he continually catches my gyrocopters, even though, again, all my gyrocopters were on skirmish. I double-checked during the battle because they kept getting caught. But the General of the Empire just continually catches my gyrocopters. It's extremely frustrating. And I bring in tons of gyrocopters, and he's using this extra charge bonus. And you can see that when he gets the charge speed, he can basically keep up with one of my gyrocopters, which is tired. But I'm doing a lot of damage to the General of the Empire, and I was able to bomb some of his great swords, so they're in pretty rough shape too. But Ungrim Iron Fist, I believe, has kicked the bucket trying to kill a bunch of great swords. So yeah, Ungrim Iron Fist kicked the bucket. I'm limited on my gyrocopters at this point, and what I have here is a unit that's come back from routing, and I'm going to start running it towards the back of the map as soon as I'm smart enough to think of it. So you can see I'm going to basically take this dwarf warrior and just start running to the back of the map, because the only mobile unit my opponent has is this General of the Empire, and right now he's not realizing that if he goes and kills this infantry, I'll rout off the battlefield due to the leadership. And look at this, all my guys are on skirmish. How stupid is that? It's so annoying. His General of the Empire has gotten so many kills that he shouldn't have in this battle because my guys wouldn't skirmish. It's just absolutely infuriating. I have enough bombs left in my gyrocopters to kill his great swords. I am going to struggle a little bit to try and clean up all of his regrouped handgunners. So even though my gyrocopters beat the living daylights out of these handgunners, all of them are coming back from routing for the most part. So that's going to be frustrating because they're going to get more shots, and then I struggle to continue to kill the General of the Empire. He can no longer replenish. He's used both his healing potions, but with the way my guys... The other crappy thing about gyrocopters that really needs to be fixed to help the dwarfs, the gyrocopters have to be stationary to fire. That, again, that's absolutely idiotic. So it's another thing that just unnecessarily hampers what little good things the dwarfs have going on. So gyrocopters need to be able to fire while moving. At least that's my determination. What do you all think? I think if gyrocopters could fire while moving, they can actually effectively skirmish anti-air, as opposed to the fact that they have to be stationary to fire, which is really frustrating. Otherwise, I've got nothing bad to say, really, about the gyrocopter with the brimstone gun. It's pretty great for 800 gold. I think it's, again, it's one of the more redeeming qualities of the dwarfs. So I'm trying to kill the General of the Empire, but he's being difficult to kill, and I'm not landing a ton of hits. And again, I'm running this guy all the way to the back of the map, hoping if I can kill their general, I'm pretty sure I can take this thing home. The balance of power, though, is not in my favor at the moment. And so you can see I'm going to mop up a few of these handgunners. I'm going to keep picking at the General of the Empire, but he keeps catching my gyrocopters who won't skirmish. And so, and again, my gyrocopters have to stop in midair to fire, which is extremely frustrating. I never noticed that about them before this battle. I don't know why I didn't. I should have. But like I said, if I can kill his General of the Empire, that balance bar is going to shift quite a bit, and then I could easily come over here and just bomb his greatswords into an oblivion, and I will probably win the battle. But if I can't kill his General of the Empire, or if he routes this unit back here, I'm ruined. And so he's chasing my gyrocopters, and I think that it's right about this time. Yep, he realizes that if he kills this last unit, I'm done for. Remember, my gyrocopters can't fire while moving. So I'm chasing him. I'm on fire at will. I should easily be able to shoot this guy out of the air, but I can't. I can't shoot him out of the air. And I was like, oh, geez, why are my guys not firing? And then this is where it really struck me that my guys can't fire unless they're stationary. So when I click an attack order, they stop to try and fire, and the General of the Empire keeps moving, and I'm like, great, he's gonna catch my dudes. I should have chased him in melee with one unit just to slow him down temporarily, because allowing him to kill this unit means that the battle's gonna be over. So right here, I'm going to lose the battle. Unfortunate, it was pretty close in the end. I almost beat his crazy anti-dwarf build here, but not quite. And of course, I had a crazy build myself, so it was two really wacky builds that came up together. Good job to the machine. He did a good demonstration here. I can't say I enjoy it in terms of when you pick the dwarfs and you already go on an uphill battle and then you realize that someone hardcore counter picks you too, and I'm just like, great, that's exactly what I needed. But it's a good demonstration. I'm glad he did it, because this guy clearly understands what the weaknesses of the dwarfs are, and he did very well to pick against it, and I like this because to me it helps demonstrate those weaknesses that the dwarfs have that some of these factions can massively take advantage of. Now just think for a moment, if I hadn't picked the Gyro-spam and I had picked a traditional dwarf army, just imagine what this army would have done to me. Oh my gosh, it would have been almost as bad as that Beastmen battle last time. So again, really like his picks. I think that they really are going to be great picks against the dwarfs. Again, hope this helps drive home some of the message about, like, again, just simple things. A little extra mass on the dwarfs could go a long way against cavalry. Gyrocopters being able to fire while moving could be a huge deal for the dwarfs. I'm not asking for like huge buffs that completely change the way the dwarfs are. I'm just noticing some of these little things that I think could be addressed that would help bring these guys into balance without making things too crazy or erasing the identity of the dwarfs. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. Definitely appreciate the battles from the machine. It was fun. He definitely got me there. That Beastmen build was beastly. And hey, it never hurts to get yourself gutted by Gorbull. It always brings back those good memories. Remember, folks, Gorbull 2016. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. Appreciate you, my awesome viewer, watching it and coming back. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to support me or help me out, I mean, the views really help me out. Obviously, appreciate you being here. If you want to subscribe, the little logo in the bottom right-hand corner, that also helps me a lot. And I'm not saying you have to do these things, but if you're one of those people and you want to help support me and want to help me be successful, likes, views, subscriptions, all those things help me. And I love making videos for you every day. It's a lot of fun. Can't wait to come back and do more. This Dwarf week is pretty exciting so far, and there's going to be a lot more fun to come. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon.